Good morning, I'm here with Shaun McCarthy, who's Chair of the Commission for a Sustainable London 2012. Shaun, we've got 1 year to go. Today's 1 year until the opening ceremony of the London Olympics. With that in mind, what do you consider have been the big Olympic success stories around sustainability today?
The success story so far has been construction. The ODA really has set new standards for the construction industry and the way that it's delivered on sustainability, and has really installed discipline around its sustainability objectives all the way through the supply chain, and I think that's unique. Some pretty unique standards are being set for the games themselves by LOCOG, which are also admirable, and I think there have been some fantastic initiatives working with sponsors. So I think so far there have been some real successes that we can build on as we move into the games with 1 year to go.
And just thinking on the disappointments that you've seen over the last few years, what would be the big highlights there?
I think the biggest disappointment for me is the infrastructure that's been left behind. I think the ODA has constructed in a very sustainable way, and they've created some great sustainable venues. The energy infrastructure, which is a combined heat and power system with a lot of good infrastructure around the site, is still fueled by natural gas, so it's much more efficient than, say, grid-powered electricity, but it could have been better. With a bit more thought and a slightly different commercial arrangement, then we could have had alternative fuels and really be driving towards zero carbon now. That needs to be done in the future by the legacy company.
And talking about legacy, we hear a lot about the legacy for London and for the Olympic Park itself. What do you consider the legacy of the Games will be for the UK and beyond?
We're very passionate about the legacy of learning, and this is something that the Commission raised 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm delighted to see that the ODA has embarked on a learning legacy programme. So they'll be publishing an awful lot of their lessons learned in a great deal of detail in the autumn, so people can actually pick up and learn from that. I think there's a great opportunity for exportable skills. There's already signs that some of the contractors that are actually working on the Olympic Park have exported their skills. They're working on projects as far and wide as Australia for highly sustainable programs. So I think we can learn a lot about sustainability, and we can export from that learning. We can create jobs and economic opportunity from it.
And thinking about LOCOG and the next 12 months, what can they do to really boost the sustainability credentials of the Games?
LOCOG has it all to go for. They've done a great job in setting sustainability standards, so things like zero waste to landfill, their sustainable food vision, their use of BS 8901, the sustainable event management standard, is all quite groundbreaking. They've had some great policies, they've implemented it very well through their procurement process. Now they've got to deliver it through their operational protocols, and that's the challenge for LOCOG.
Okay, as Chair of the Commission, what is your biggest concern as the 1 year countdown now begins?
I think what keeps me awake at night is transport. London has a severe air quality problem. It's in breach of EU air quality laws, and the Olympic Route Network, which is the network for transporting athletes and officials around London by cars and buses during the Games, potentially can create hotspots through traffic congestion in other parts of London. There's an assumption that London's activity will reduce by 30% during the Games, but that's a very, very broad assumption. So delivering on the transport vision and making sure that it's delivered in a way that doesn't make the air quality problem worse is probably my biggest worry right now.
And thinking about your role as a Commission, what will you be focusing on in the next 12 months?
Okay, we've got 2 reviews ongoing at the moment. One is the one that we call the Sustainable Games Preparation Review, which is looking at all of the operating procedures that LOCOG has to actually deliver the Games in a sustainable way. So really understanding how will you deliver zero waste to landfill on the ground on the day? How will you deliver the equestrian event in Greenwich Park in a way that doesn't disturb the biodiversity of the park? So really understanding those things, visiting test events, understanding how it will be delivered on the ground. The second review is our legacy review. So we're looking for the first time in a great deal of detail at the legacy arrangements, not just for the Olympic Park Legacy Company, but also for organisations like the Lee Valley Regional Park Authority, who will own the north end of the park, to really understand how the promise that the Games will create a blueprint for sustainable living will actually be delivered.
And finally, if you were chair of the Commission for a Sustainable Rio 2016, what would you be saying now to the organisers 5 years out?
I would say you must raise the bar. London 2012 has set the sustainability bar incredibly high. They're achieving most of their objectives, one or two are failing, but most of the objectives are being achieved. So it's a hell of an act to follow. The other thing that I would say is take time and effort to make early decisions future-proof. What you decide now will dictate what you actually deliver in 2016 and indeed beyond 2016. So you can't think about best practice in 2011. You've got to think about what best practice will look like in 2016.
Shaun, thank you very much.
Thank you.